brand new, and obviously totally exclusive. And here, particularly if you are, again, someone who really enjoys, as I do, just not just the bold colors, but the fact that, you know, I look at this necklace chain. This, to me, I think I could go home, sit down, put this in my lap, and study each one of the stones, because every single one of them are so fascinating in terms of their color, in terms of their presence, one by one. The necklace today, and this is the first airing of it, brand new, marked at a price of $119.98 for the necklace. And then we also then have the button earrings, and the earrings are available at only $44.98 today. And when you look, you know, even particularly the necklace with the graduated stones, you're graduating on down to like a 14mm bead in the center. But I think this is one of the most, I guess intriguing is probably the best word, Jay.
Well, you know, the combination of these two materials, number one, it's the very first time that we've ever done it. And you've got, I actually designed this, I was playing with the materials like I always do. I mean, you know, that's, anything that you ever see from me is because we weren't, you know, I work out of my studio. My wife calls it my man cave, okay? Yeah. But I work with the different material specimens. I have thousands, literally thousands of specimens. And then I have the current rough materials that I have in stock. I have in one section where, you know, those are the materials that I know that I can design with and how much I have of that material. Right. These just paired together so fabulously. And this is a natural Variscite, probably one of, I'll venture to say this, okay, that in 44 years, it is the best Variscite I've ever had the pleasure of working with in my entire life. Really? Just so everybody knows this, in the 70s, a lot of the turquoises that were being sold in the 70s are actually forms of Variscite. They're not turquoise. But at that time, they, you know, there was not the testing that there is now, and they were Variscite. Variscite is as close to turquoise as you're ever going to get. It's just off one or two minerals in most cases of it actually being turquoise. What makes the Variscite, which is like that beautiful granny apple green color, that clear,
right?
Okay, that comes from Utah, and it comes from the penny family. And what makes it really unusual and unique is that it's the only mine that I've ever been to in my entire life where single miner was a woman.
Oh, everyone. That is so awesome.
The father, Dave, he's the one that actually has the claim, right? And his daughters, he has all daughters. And so his daughters, he didn't have any sons, he's only got daughters. And so the daughters were raised to mine. I mean, you know, and so the very first time I went out to the mine and they were mining this, you know how you go someplace and you know something's different, but you can't quite put your finger on what, you know, what is so different about this? And then I'm looking around and I'm trying to think, wow, there's something weird. What's different here? And then all of a sudden I realize everybody running the equipment, everybody doing everything, they're all women. And it's his daughters. And I've never seen that, and I've never seen it since. I mean, so just the fascination of actually having that, this mined by women. I paired this back to a brand new turquoise that we started mining about 2 years ago. It's ever changing now because it's a copper deposit, and now this was some of the original material, and this is called New Redskin. And the materials, the reason we call it New Redskin, it's on the opposite side of a mine that got flooded out that's no longer available, that's called Old Redskin, the original Redskin turquoise. And it comes with a beautiful iron oxide skin on it when you open it up and you get, now the material now that you see here is more like a tealy green or a tealy blue. There is some blue, but mainly it's like a tealy color, right? A tealy green or a tealy blue. And the material now, as we're going down in the mine, and they're actually getting lower and lower, mining the copper, we're getting more blues, just like the Old Redskin. So I think it's all part of that same vein, all that same deposit, that same formation. but you're getting something very unique, very different, and you can't beat this price, guys.
No.
You know, and here again, you're looking at 4 pounds of rough material to start with. Now, does the necklace weigh 4 pounds? No, but it takes about 4 pounds, 3.5 to 4 pounds of rough material, rough stock, depending on the size and shape, to be able to cut each one of these individual necklaces. It's big, and the color combination, I'm just telling you, has a very eclectic look to it, very a really nice, natural feel to it.
Yeah, okay, and just the mere fact that the mine is all women. I think that alone, right? For all of, come on, support all these women. And a lot of viewers are enjoying it today. And Rob, how are we doing in quantity? I wasn't quite sure what the quantity was. There's only 700. So 700, and that's between both pieces, the necklace and the earrings. But here again, you know, when we take our wardrobe, right? You can have any kind of a basic color. Amanda's in a pink, you know, I have a soft pale pink on. Imagine this with anything, whether it would be yellows, whether it is other greens, whites, pinks, blues. It'd be gorgeous with like your darker indigo navy blues. It'd be beautiful with that as well. So, I mean, this, and it is the uniqueness of the tone, of the colors that you're getting into each one of the stones. The fact, again, as we said, that the mind, as Jay is sharing with us, and I love that, is a complete all-female mine. That in of itself, you have to love that. So that's something we're going to